Hey, this is B from Kongs R Us, and today we got a leaked image of Arcade1Up's upcoming Time Crisis cabinet. So let's go over what I think about it, the potential games list, as well as if I'm gonna buy it or not, which I don't think I am. Alright, let's credit Facebook user Miguel Sanchez as well as Justin Console Kits because I saw his stream earlier today that showcased these pictures from the Miami Arcade1Up office. We can only assume how these pictures came about, but they're here now. They're out in the wild and we have our first glimpse of the Time Crisis Arcade1Up cabinet. So first off, looking at this particular cabinet, it's a lot skinnier than I thought it would be. I mean, I feel like I know this already. It looks like a Big Blue with a Ridge Racer kind of topper on it. So it has that design shape. And what is it really trying to mimic? It's trying to mimic that original Time Crisis arcade machine. So here it is of what the real the real Time Crisis machine looks like. It's a little bit stubbier and fatter. It has the one pedal design right there, the one gun design, but the shape of the cabinet, they had to take some liberties because we see obviously two separate guns on the cabinet itself. So they couldn't do the one game design, which leads us into like what that game list is. If you look on the side of the art, you can't really tell what those words are. It's not a games list. If you go back to the actual cabinet itself, it says Super System 22, it says breathtaking graphics and long lasting thrills. But what are the games that are going to be on this skinny little shooting cabinet? Well, if you look at Super System 22, we knew that this game was coming because System 22 was the engine that was used for Ridge Racer. So when Ridge Racer came out from Arcade1Up, we knew Time Crisis was definitely in that polygon graphics realm to be able to accomplish Time Crisis 1. Now the future Time Crisis cabs are using a different system, and so don't think any other Time Crisis games are going to be on here except for Time Crisis 1, because after Time Crisis 1, all Time Crisis 2 games and onward had two monitor screens, so you can't really do that unless you have two screens here. So we have Time Crisis 1 with the single gun and the pedal, and then the rest of the games, here's what I think the games are going to be. So here is a list of all gun games from Wikipedia, light gun games, and I did a quick search for Namco. You have Time Crisis here. We know there's going to be other Namco games on here, and some of the first ones you'll see on here are Steel Gunner 1 and 2, which are rail shooter games, meaning they're normally kind of like T2 mounted gun games, but play really well. They're kind of fun side-scrolling shooting games. So Steel Gunner 1 and 2 are definitely in contention for being on the cabinet. Here's some gameplay of me and my wife playing Steel Gunner 1 and 2 as well. And as well as the Point Blank series of games. Point Blank 1 and 2 are pretty popular gun games in my opinion, some of my favorite gun games of all time, which came out in 94, 99, all very easily runnable on this particular chipset, I think. So in terms of the game list, I foresee 5 games on this cab. Time Crisis 1, Steel Gunner 1 and 2, and Point Blank 1 and 2 are the Namco games that I think will run on this chipset, and there it is. So those are the games that I think are here. You could also have some other cool Namco games like a Lucky and Wild. Maybe a future will have a driving cab with a gun cab. That would be really fun. I don't think there's a lot of games that can use that setup, but all the other Namco games are just a little bit more advanced. Ninja Assault, definitely a great game. The greater Point Blanks, using more hardware, Raising Storm 2009. So yeah, those are the Namco shooting games that I believe will be on this cabinet. Check out some gameplay from me and my wife playing this on my modded Big Buck Hunter cabinet. So let's get into, do I think I will purchase this cabinet? And it looks like a resounding no. I definitely was curious about the design of the cabinet itself. So the cabinet shape, I think, still leaves a little bit more to be desired. I think there's too many kind of liberties they took to make it fit in the form factor that they have it here. But my main reason for it is I'm really worried about the quality of the parts. The guns themselves look like the same cheaper plastic that we saw on T2 and Big Buck Hunter guns. But that pedal, this pedal, if I zoom in here, step on it, it looks so sad. It looks really, I want to say almost pathetic. It almost looks like it belongs on a babycade in terms of the parts and the look and feel. There's no other design elements on it. I'm hoping this is still a prototype because a real pedal itself, it was a hefty piece of equipment. It was like this. It was solid and it had this metal kind of steel plate design on it. It was super heavy and it just felt so satisfying clicking on this. yeah, I don't know if that pedal's gonna do it, and I know I have the real version of it, so it's not a comparison, but there's not even any design elements on that like little silver part right there. I really would have liked to have seen that at the very least to try to mimic the design, kind of like they did with the pedals on Outrun and Ridge Racer. It had those little steel plate marks on the pedal. They totally could have done that here. Maybe it's there and I can't see it. Maybe it's gonna be on a sticker or something, but that pedal looks pretty sad in my opinion in terms of the size of it as well as its functionality. I'm sure it'll work, who knows. But the next thing also is scrolling up to the guns themselves. It's hard to tell what they're gonna do with these guns. So I actually am I'm pretty optimistic that they used a real Namco gun shells here. So looking at the design of this, if you look at the back of this blue gun right here, it looks fairly similar in shape to the gun that we see in the picture there. So this is a real Namco gun, super brand new. It's modded with Gun for IR technology, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have to see that clacking feature, but I don't think it's going to be doing this type of clacking. So if they actually include a moving topper portion to the guns, I would be really surprised. In my opinion, I think what they're going to do is have a solid piece of a gun here that looks like this gun, but it's just going to have a solenoid on the inside that you can fire, and it's going to make that clicking sound. Hopefully not like the T2 one, which is a continual solenoid thing that's spinning. It has to be an actual firing solenoid, so you get that nice clack clack each time. I am really hoping to see what that integration looks like, but I am at least somewhat optimistic of the gun design. But they still look a little bit cheap, but we'll see what they come out with. But overall, since I already have, you know, my Namco guns and my Namco pedal, I don't think I'm going to be picking up this cabinet. I was waiting to see this cabinet design if it would look good enough for me to potentially reskin it like a point blank cabinet. And yeah, I just don't know if I dig the shape and the design. It's I know it's Aiken and supposed to be close to that Time Crisis shape and design, but when I see it, it looks too McDonald's-y for me. I'm a big Bruin fan, and there's too much UFC representation on this cabinet. So I'm sorry, Trojans, will not be purchasing this cabinet to have in the arcade. I already have a lot of ways I can play Time Crisis, as you can see here, as well as Steel Gunner 1 and 2 and Point Blank 1 and 2. The guns will probably be using Sinnen technology, so we'll lose another inch of the border from the white border there. So I don't think I'm going to be picking this up. It's probably going to be too expensive for the price point that they're saying. Originally $799 was the leak on the Gamefly leaks. I'm hoping this XL design cabinet is going to be about $699 in terms of a price point. We will see. But that's it for my thoughts on the Time Crisis Namco release here. There's also some other leaks that also came out recently about this Wheel of Fortune CasinoCade stuff. And I have some thoughts about this. I'll probably make a separate video about the potential for this, but I see definitely a market for this. Curious if it's only the games in a single game or if this is going to be upgradable, because it says online Wheel of Fortune. Who knows what that means? But that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel. Give me a thumbs up on your way out, and we'll see you next time.